Oh, well, hello there, world. How you been doing? Viva la Renaissance. I guess we're just doing solo episodes now. Life is, it's like it's just trying to find a rhythm that we can dance to, and it's like, oh, I can't quite find the groove. I'm like still searching around, trying to find something to make me dance. But I'm really trying. I got my head in the game, believe me. But you also can't rush these things. It has to come naturally. Yeah, so the heat wave is persisting here in California, and there are some wildfires starting out and about, which is pretty nerve-wracking. Last summer was really stressful with how close they got to us. So that's going on. It's just been hot and lots of river time. I'm also pretty well acclimated to the heat now. It wasn't any better when I was a dog walker in LA, believe me. It was actually worse. It was much hotter down there. And being in a city, you don't have all these great trees for shade. I guess, I don't know. I wanted to ask you, I mean, were you hoping things would just return to normal? Were you one of those people waiting for normal to come back? Or were you hoping everything would be different? I think I was hoping everything would be different. But then I'm finding it's not, so then I'm kind of upset and then still can't find that groove to dance to. I mean, are you guys feeling hopeful and inspired? Are you uncertain and nervous? Are you worried and dismal? I have a feeling there are still many more plot twists involving governments, world and individual health, money, currency, finances, wealth, restrictions on all kinds of freedoms. I mean, would you want to know in advance what happened, or are you content to live the adventure? I mean, would you change your strategy now, knowing what you know about what's happened the last year and a half or so? Would you have taken bolder steps towards your dreams sooner? Are you well into your next plan, or are you just figuring it out? It's everyone's all over the place. I mean, I have a sense that we're a long way from anything being normal. Yeah, I think there's going to be many unexpected twists and turns. I've decided to firmly plant myself in my dreams a long time ago, and I've just been caring for my health, through nutrition, exercise, and energy work and herbal medicine. And I just feel like my role as an artist is to get myself as stable as soon as I can, which has not been easy because you kind of are waiting for this moment where you feel like, okay, I got a handle on this, and then you feel like you can open up. But that moment isn't coming. Like I don't think we're going to get that chance or that opportunity to feel real stable for a while. I'm just seeing some of my friends struggle and having a lot of compassion. I guess because it was fortunate for me that I sort of got tossed out of LA so soon into COVID. So I am kind of deep into building my life in a different way. Many of you guys know that I'm working for rent out on a legal marijuana farm where I'm living in a 1996 mini Winnebago, which I'm also repairing and renovating like everything else in my life. It's just crazy how many projects are going on all at one time. And I keep waiting to get to this point of feeling some sort of completion or like, okay, I've gotten to this stage. Now I can go on with confidence. And it just hasn't happened. I just keep having these big projects that I do as much as I can, but it never feels like enough. Because I am a working artist for so long, I've had to wrestle with perfectionism before, and I just know what a trap it is. So I let myself off the hook. I just do the best that I can and don't really worry about it. I want things to be different, but I recognize also I gotta just have faith and patience and keep my dream like really clearly in focus and just not worry about what it looks like right now. So that's taken me a long time to be able to do, though. So I am worried about all y'all out there and wondering what I can offer to the conversation. It's kind of great. My life is so different now, it's really simple. And partly it is an experiment in sustainability. I'm really learning about the land, and I'm starting to even prefer pooping in the woods to using indoor plumbing, which, I never saw that coming. But I mean, I still get to take baths and showers. I have access to a bathroom, but not in the RV. So I get the best of both worlds, I guess. And, I collect all my own water. I go to a local spring and I collect about 20 gallons of water that I can make last for about 2 weeks. And I mean, I'm really surprised how little water I can wash my face and brush my teeth in and wash dishes. And yeah, to me, it's endlessly fascinating. It's an experiment that I'm learning a lot from. And, in this area, it's a very beautiful, desirable area. I'm sure many of you are experiencing this as well, where there's this like massive real estate boom going on right now and this huge shuffling around of property everywhere. And lots of people are being evicted. And some are choosing, because they can't find anything also. So they're choosing to live on the road, and that has its own instability, which I know all too well. I've had to do that in the past. And so it's all just it's making me very tender. I feel a lot of compassion, and I feel people's pain and heartache too. It's also touching this very particular heartbreak that artists know too well, which is what happens with gentrification. Everywhere, artists are often the first ones on the frontiers, going into places. They make it, creative, unique, and they present it in this totally other light, and then they're the first ones that are kicked out as soon as people want to come in and make money off of it. The artists then can't afford to live, to rent, to buy, or have stability. And just that whole gross cycle of gentrification. Yeah, I've lived through it in a couple places now. So it's just hard to feel that creeping hand of greed starting to encroach here, even just listening to that and watching that and wondering what I can do about it. I've been worried about artists for years because I am one. And it's been hard for us for a while. The tsunami of social media, I feel like, wiped out a lot of real world ways of experiencing art that I really miss. And I'm actually hoping that we can get back to. And I haven't seen evidence of it yet. And I guess that's why I'm not super happy. Like, as things are reopening, I feel like it's a lot of the old ways just before COVID of doing things that were very materialist and very money driven, yeah, in regards to art and culture and people's individual focus versus a collaborative or community focus, which is kind of bumming me out. I mean, I've been trying to build community through art, grassroots art making. I mean, that's what I do, or the essence of what I do. Yeah, I've been trying to do that for years since I left New York. And it really has felt like people just don't participate in the same way anymore. And there's less and less people that know how to do it. Feeling like my generation partly believed that they aged out of it or they got pushed out. I definitely felt pushed out by the generation that came behind in the burlesque scene. Maybe those of us that know how to build strong communities through our art are the ones who need to be leaders now. Because what was happening before was that the influencers were starting to occupy the space in the collective imagination that real artists used to hold. And there's not like the music and a real substantive culture replacing that. It's pretty surface. And that's very dangerous to me. It's because people aren't noticing the difference. And I noticed this before I left New York. I felt that people weren't noticing the layers of meaning and jokes and all the things that I was putting into my work. It was kind of just like they were just looking at me like in a line of pretty girls, and that was it. And I mean, whatever. Being conventionally pretty is nice. I like it. I appreciate my beauty, and I'm really grateful for it. But it's not the thing that defines me. Being an artist is what defines me. I've noticed this for a long time, and I started wondering what to do about it then. It's like confusing a Big Mac with a grass-fed organic burger. The nutritional value for your soul is vastly different. So I've always been very concerned that people aren't feeding their imagination with actual nourishment. I want more for society. I want more for our culture, and I want more for artists. I want artists to be appreciated in their lifetimes. I want their work to be really seen and understood, valued, protected in a way that we would value and protect nature if we had our heads on, right? So to me, that's a parallel struggle that I actually can do something about. I mean, I do something about all the nature around me all the time. I work outside in the dirt every day, and I'm still waiting for the soil, which I've said this many times, that culture is the soil our consciousness grows in. So I'm a cultivator of consciousness through art, through images and performance and words, and those are my main outlets. So I just wanted to take some time to establish what I'm talking about, some of the differences between artists and influencers. And this isn't trying to be they're bad, we're good, us and them sort of thing at all. The world is certainly big enough for both things. But it is important to differentiate yourself from others, especially as an artist. You need to know what makes you unique, and it's important to be able to identify the real and the authentic, because they are in danger of leaving. The world of the internet, it's just not all it was cracked up to be, I'm really counting on all our art and culture to lift us out of despair, to strengthen our muscles of love and connection, and to really hold on to some eternal truths. So you need to know where to look and how to spot the difference. So culture is the soil we're growing our consciousness in. This is like the music we listen to, the books we read, the paintings we look to, the performances we see. And yeah, it's movies and YouTube videos and TV shows, but that's the pop culture. That's the popular culture. It's not the actual culture that's going to endure. We gotta train ourselves. You gotta be able to see it, to recognize it, to appreciate it, to be able to cultivate it. So I'm hoping you will seek out and nourish the real deal artists, and maybe even step up and become one if you're on the fence, if you aren't already. If you are one, great. This is going to be helpful for you. You're enlisted in the Renaissance, believe me. And if you're someone who has backburnered your dreams, maybe now is the time. It might not be convenient. It might seem totally crazy for you to be like, actually, I think I might start pursuing my art. I'm using all of my passion, all of my training in service to making a renaissance. Because that is, when I look at the culture from the outside, from my perspective, that's the best medicine for these times. A golden age of enlightening and enlightenment that comes to us through art. Anyone in any field can learn to see the world as an artist. You can raise your passion in your profession to the level of an art simply through dedication and just being open, like letting yourself be led, caring a lot about it. I'm using art and the microcosm of my life to talk in larger terms about the macrocosm of our culture, the archetypes of the culture, because I see them. They're completely parallel to the little mini version in my life. Okay, so in order to write this list, I actually started by thinking of some of my most enduring heroes, like all my art lineage that I feel most inspired by. So, when I was thinking about the lives of these artists, I mean, that's really what I've read most of my life is like biographies of artists. And so I do believe their lives are roadmaps. They show us the way to walk an unconventional life, like the whole mission of this podcast. They shape the world around them using their imaginations. I really believe that is how it goes. So it's really important for us all to tap into our imagination and remember how much more is possible than any of these limiting feelings. So here's my list of heroes that I was thinking about when I was writing this list. And they included Lou Reed, Joe Strummer, Georgia O'Keeffe, Beatrix Potter, Frida Kahlo, Charlie Chaplin, Shakespeare, Mozart, William Blake, Hildegard von Bingen, Lucille Ball, Leonardo da Vinci, Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, Carl Sagan, Marlene Dietrich, Divine, David Bowie, and Prince, who are now just like inseparable because they died so close together. It's pretty crazy, but them too. That was my list of artists. I was thinking about their lives as examples and also just my own, and then the influencer side of the list is from my experience since we've all been around social media. Here we go. The differences between artists and influencers. Artists make opportunities out of nothing, and influencers look for opportunities, sometimes even taking them from others. Artists are self-actualizers, where influencers are self-promoters. Artists hold individual and collective awareness, and influencers are only self-aware. Artists often start new scenes, SCENES, scenes and subcultures, and influencers start parties and follow trends. Artists value passion as a motivating force and an instinct to be utilized. And influencers are often offended by passionate people. This is something I hear a lot, that people just say I'm too intense or I'm too much, and that's actually kind of an indication of how artists are more wired, because they're in line with their passions and they pay attention to any feelings I pay attention to, because that's like my instinct talking, and I have to put it in the right place and I have to let it out or it internalizes and makes you sick. So yeah, it's kind of a much more healthy way to be, really. And artists, let's see, are not worried about being liked, whereas influencers, their prime motivation is to be liked and counting all the numbers of fans, followers, likes, etc. Artists want to be inspiring. Influencers want to be imitated. Artists are capable of making change or many changes, and influencers talk about change but actually practice conformity. Artists understand they are a channel for creativity, not the source of it, and influencers treat creativity like a commodity. Artists are, from what I can tell, more collaborative and seem more secure in themselves, where influencers usually run solo enterprises with a very entrepreneurial attitude. Artists have an obsession with authenticity, where influencers have an obsession with artifice. Artists are provocative and speak their mind, and influencers are agreeable and they recycle trendy buzzwords. I should say hashtag buzzwords. For artists, inspiration comes from within, and for influencers, they are influenced predominantly by external sources. And I've seen this a lot in people in my life who I've noticed don't have any original ideas. They just take a lot from other artists and get lots of books and just do kind of replicas of that other work that they see. It's derivative, I often call it, as opposed to really inspired, something different that we haven't seen before. Artists use metaphor, symbolism, allegory, etc., where influencers are very literal. Artists embody a way of being, and they typically dress eccentrically, which you can think about that whole list, and they were all some pretty snazzy dressers, where influencers embody a way of looking, and they often look like others. Artists take many risks, where influencers are risk averse. Artists are often maximalists and surround themselves with inspiring objects, and influencers are often minimalists. Artists are not afraid to ruffle feathers. Influencers only like to wear the feathers. Artists view life as an adventure. Influencers view life as a business. It's always about their brand. Artists live unconventional lives of their own design. Influencers live comfortable, conventional lives. Artists are magicians who re-enchant the world with wonder. Influencers are materialists who reduce experience down to things, products, stuff, and money. Artists seek mastery of their craft. Influencers practice mimicry. They're stuck in an early stage of the creative process, which is just imitation. Artists invent. Influencers regurgitate. I hope that was a pretty comprehensive list. I've been trying to, encapsulate this for years. And like I said, it's just important to know the difference. Both can exist in the world. I understand people have to have businesses and support themselves, and there's nothing wrong with just being very blatant about that. And, more power to you. I get it. It's just that the real artists need to stand up now and get back to work also and remember who you are, which is different and has a different purpose. This is always happening, right? We're always, throughout history, human beings were in this state of remembering and forgetting and then remembering again, putting all the parts back together, remember. And what endures is hopefully the best way, the way that shapes humanity, the way that brings more freedom, more beauty, more wonder and joy and delight and fun and all the good stuff. My compass is always set to fun. I don't see much point in doing things unless it's fun. And I have a really great talent for turning shit into gold and just making things fun. It's really one of my superpowers. And I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to re-enchant the world, but I can't do it by myself. I live in my own kind of little mini enchanted world, but there's much, much more out there that is possible. And we need to individually get our dreams back up on the horizon, get them in our eyesight again. And then we need to choose to collaborate. It's you might feel really broken, you just want to wait until you're healed, until you're all strong, until all of this passes and everything feels good again. But this is a total myth. That is a myth of perfectionism. There is absolutely no better time. If not now, when? If not us, who? Hillel the Elder said that first part. But seriously, if not us, who? We are living in a historic moment, I think. Certainly feels like it's a big change, whatever's going on with the world economy, with the world health. There's a lot going on. We need to get to remaking the culture now, make the art of these times. Leaders need to lead, elders need to elder, artists need to make the art. I always joke that I've been waiting on money, men, and materials, but I kind of gave up and I've just been doing all the things, whatever I can find. I've just been cobbling together. I always call it the 1.0 version of my things because it's usually kind of cardboard and taped together and just an idea of what I want. But that is materializing something in the world. I'm not waiting until I have the money and everything's perfect. It's a combination and things arrive at the same time. And so this is why I really feel we need to sort of be dealing with our stuff. We're all pretty traumatized by the last bit of time. We're not going to get a break. The waves just keep coming and we're not out of the woods yet. So we're not going to be able to wait anymore. So we're starting the Renaissance. It's begun. If you're listening to this, you're enlisted. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever your dreams are, really move them to the front burner and get that fire lit. Be sure to dream big for all of us and just start taking daily action. And I'm going to keep talking to you all about what I think you need to know to be a real artist, to shape the culture, to make really healthy, nourishing soil for our consciousness to grow in in this next era as everything has been turned upside down and destroyed. And as we rebuild, just really, we're going to make sure that we're doing it right and taking some of these values back. We're going to reprioritize them and make sure they come with us into this next version that we're doing. That's all I got for today. Thank you for listening. If I forgot anything on the list of differences between artists and influencers, you can email me through the website vivalarenaissance.net. Be sure to sign up for the email list. And you got to tell me how you came about finding me. If you don't mind, I'm being a little selective in who comes in my next email incarnation, as I think you should be too. Last time, social media, there weren't enough boundaries, there weren't enough barriers to entry. So we don't have to do it that way. You can run your personal private system of mutual flourishing however you want to run it. I'm not going to split hairs about that. All right, artists, lovers, dreamers, let's do this. There's a renaissance on. The world needs us. Until next time, keep it weird. Love you. Mean it. Bye.